Nothing gets your blood pumping quite like cardiovascular activity. There's a reason people, sportsy people, call it the runner's high, right? Because in a position where your body is screaming for more energy and when your mind is getting ready to give up, to give out, you get this little spark of either encouragement or a boost or like that last second wind. And it's in those moments that the highest competing athletes find themselves. We like to call it the zone, free mode. But we're getting our head of ourselves, because every journey starts from small beginnings. And in the 1,000 meters, created by the same guy who did the Orb anime over at Netflix, if you know, you know, we get a very deep story of what sacrifice means and how it affects their minds, our hearts, and our bodies. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the movie Him over last week, where that was a quarterback superstar giving a bit more of himself than he bargained for. This, however, without all its, horror tropes as the other film, has us looking more deeply into the mind of someone who gets to the point of going, listen, I'm gonna do something with this timeline. I'm gonna fight for a goal, and I'm not gonna stop running until we hit that goal. And it's incredible. It really is, because not only do you get to see just what it requires from them on a physical level. Some people put their bodies on the line. Some people are constantly breaking bones just to kind of get that next echelon, or getting ankles twisted, and it's serious. When you wanted that badly, what are the limits? Where are the restraints? And who has the right to tell you, listen, kid, that's enough? But regardless, we have two technically main characters. I always like to admit that my favorite stories come from supporting characters, at inspiring the main characters, and hence you get like this community of characters that are feeding into each other. And if you couldn't believe it, the guy who was in charge of visualizing how we were able to step out of central helioism and look into space and admire those beautiful stars in the distance, yeah, we're getting something super deep with this one. And it's a pleasure, man. It's a freaking pleasure when you're being surrounded by Disney slop, AI misquotations, and you see something that really just puts it plain and simple. We have 100 meters to dash in. If you can be the fastest in those 100 meters, then you can solve any problem. Sheesh. Some people call it running away from your problems. Other people call it hitting the next echelon. But we see it. We see the struggles. We see the mentality, the toll it takes to really push yourself beyond what everyone else tells you is impossible. You have a group of individuals whose sole goal is nothing less than to break the limits. There was I don't know if it's a quote or like a study or some interesting fun fact for you. I forget in what year specifically, but up until this specific year, nobody thought it was impossible to break a 3-minute mile. But once that year happened and that person smashed the first record, whether it be 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, doesn't matter. Whether the first time they smashed that record, consistently after that, people kept on getting faster and breaking that record and that record. Why? It's quite simple. When you see somebody doing the impossible, you're inspired. You see just how unimportant these mental barriers that you put inside of us, that we put inside ourselves, really are. And the moment we see someone else blasting past those levels, we start to realize that things are possible. It reminds me a lot of The Matrix, if you didn't know. Neo, Keanu Reeves, the one. The minute he starts breaking the Matrix and like doing his Jesus thing, he starts opening the eyes of everybody else in those pods, and they start coming into the life because they've seen that it is possible to break past that system. And that is what we have here. A group of individuals who have dedicated their mind, body, and souls to a single competition, whether it be from the bracket A or the original old guard from the first half of the film to the new generation that come in and are ready and are hungry for that title. You see it, you feel it, and no matter what walk of life they come from, they all converge at the same race. And it's beautiful. We're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're learning a lot about what it means to be a competitor, what it means to be among your peers, rather than being that ultimate superstar that flies beyond limits and is left alone in the night sky, star bright, starlight. But the idea of being able to shine among your peers is the core of sportsmanship. And that is beautiful, man. When you really think about the idea that just like space, just like our solar system, we only exist in this moment because we were able to observe each other's movements. Orb. And yeah, it's pretty damn cool. I always have a soft spot for the edgy brooding types that are just like they're taking in stats and like trying to find, more to life than just the status quo. And you see that mindset and how that could negatively impact your universe. It is a delicate balance to tell yourself, nobody can do this. That's why I will push myself to do this. And the fine line of, well, only because I can do this, I refuse to listen to anybody else or to take criticism or to stop understanding people because only I know. It's a fine line. It really is. And that's why sportsmanship, being in a team of individuals whose goal is not to fight each other, but to fight that part of themselves, that mental block that says, no, that's impossible. And together, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it is possible. So, if you're curious, something that has been airing for one day, it popped up on theaters. I'm not sure if you can still check it out, but it will be coming to Blu-rays and your digital services very soon. And yeah, you have this beautiful artwork. What you see here is rotoscoping, the idea of recording things in real life and tracing them over to animation. And when you have those running competitions in full rotoscope, I'm not talking about that ping pong, the animation rotoscope. That was rough. I get it. That is what we're striving for. Pure physical endurance and sacrifice. And that can only be observed through a real person's passion. So yeah, I think rotoscoping was the only way to go about this. And believe it or not, it's perfect. So, 100 meters, go check it out. It's something that will really make you reflect on moments. And if you've had that drive, that passion, that desire to succeed, you can very much relate to certain characters in this story. I highly recommend it. I really, really do. I'll be real with you, I still haven't finished Orb. I saw a small sliver of it. I saw the sky and I got super excited and I just stopped watching it. But seeing spectacular writing come from this story inspires me to go watch Orb. So I might do that very soon. I just need to actually make time for myself. But if there's a story to learn, if there's something there of substance, then maybe it's worth it. And I'm proud to make that sacrifice. So, if you have the opportunity, if you haven't had a chance, yes, definitely check out 100 meters. It is very emotional in terms of this is what we're giving up for this. And I'm not sure where the inspiration for the characters or the story came from, but it is very well done. You can feel the passion behind the characters, and that says everything about the writer. So please, have fun with that. Check that out. I get a kick out of anime movies that have more to do than just, you know, explosions and Chainsaw Man. While I do like the shonen like angle of things, and while that's probably what originally brought me to the medium, knowing that there are people out there that can take just a generic story of characters' lives and transform that into an inspirational moment is what movies are about. And that's why I'm very pleased and surprised and happy that we are getting anime films that are doing this, right? Not only do we get to have cool movies that do that, but for someone who doesn't have as much time to sit down and watch a series, you can get a really good story from a person who really had something to say. And that's awesome. And I really hope we keep on keeping it up. So, go check that out. I believe it was actually a ticketed event from AMC, meaning I didn't have to overpay for something, which is perfect. That's what we like to see. And again, as long as G's Kids, sponsored by Sony apparently, is not doing the forcive thing of upcharging people to see this movie, then I will definitely keep on giving them my support for what it's worth. So yes, very nice. Go check it out. But in case you weren't a big fan of running, let's talk about this. So in the early 2000s, things were interesting for Japan. If you really think about it, we're coming out of a certain recession. We're having technology at an all-time high. But the competition, the need to be above everybody else in this very period of recovery causes people to, let's say, become ambitious. Ambition perhaps at the cost of your fellow classmates or your fellow peers. What am I saying? I'm saying in 2000, apparently Japan made a film called Battle Royale. And if that sounds like Fortnite, you bet your fucking ass this is the original Fortnite. At least that's how I viewed it. Because yes, you have a school bus of children that are forced in a killing game, that are stuck on an island in Japan, who now have to compete against each other to be the sole survivor, to be the shining hope and beacon of Japan. If that sounds familiar, like the Long Walk, then you kind of get where we're getting at behind here. But still, 25 years of this film, and it's so crazy that it is more relevant right now than it has ever been. And you can quote me on that. Because when you really think about just how this killing game began, how this kind of like only one can survive in a classroom of elites. When you think about Danganronpa, when you think about just these Japan and how like serious it gets, how dark it can get, I'm pretty sure it all stems from this right here. And wow, it is one of the craziest rides I ever had the pleasure of viewing. It is good, man. It is what's the word? Like, I didn't expect it to happen, but it is that good. Like, so, like, I didn't even know where to put it. But yeah, man, I just can't really get enough of it. It's something that really showcases Japan's culture at the time. Again, just this economy of like, oh, blah, 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 fight, Japan first, and like we need to pull ourselves up from this, you know, the second war, right? That putting all that pressure on the next generation to really just stampede past their competition without any care of like building, rather than creating a new society or utopia or working together to build something beautiful. They are forced by the government to destroy each other in hopes of keeping the status quo. And that's why traditions are very dangerous. So what does it take? What does it mean to be a survivor? And how far are these high schoolers willing to go? By the end of the movie, right? By the time we get to the end of it, we have 3 characters left. And it gets to a point where you have to, amongst themselves, inside their own minds, you have to decide whether now's the time to pull the trigger, quote unquote, or if there is a possibility for peace. And I believe that is the message, right? Trying to understand where Japan was coming from, and seeing the director talk about his film before the movie, referencing how he and his father were in a diner one night, and there was a separate father and kid talking to each other, and the father tells the kid, "You start school tomorrow. Do your best," is what I would say to you. But in reality, I have taught you nothing. I have given you nothing. That. A society that can't help but feel oppressed, down in the dumps, that doesn't see a bright path for their future, forcing their next generation to barrel down the same path that did not work for them. Obviously, there's a lot of commentary. Obviously, that's that Ken Takemura guy. That's the guy that Momo likes in Dun Dun Dun. That's the guy. So you can see where this is coming from. And yeah, it's if you really think about like all those tropes and like the survivor killing games and just even Fortnite and battle royales, I'm gonna give it 100% all to this movie. Cause while I can see people going like, whoa, I can't believe they would do that to each other. I can't believe that that's what society might become in the future. I can't believe like people would go that far just to like protect or cover for themselves or blah, 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 or just for a trophy or like an objective or a goal or whatever. But honestly, in 2025, most people will watch this and think, that's cool. How can I join? And not to spoil Danganronpa 3, but if you know, you know. People are quite a fickle bunch. And hopefully, with any peace, with any passion, with any understanding, this doesn't become the graduation ceremony for our high schoolers. But pretty wild, just still pretty insane to think that 25 years ago, someone came up with the concept of Fortnite and didn't capitalize on that. Sorry, I'm kidding. Capitalism, neo-capitalism really fucked us over, but damn. Go watch this. Really. I'm pretty sure everybody needs to learn a thing or two about where we're at right now and what it comes to this utopian battle for battle, king of the hill scenario. So, did not expect Japan to come out with something this hard, but honestly, I'm impressed. I really am. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I hell of a am. So hey, if you haven't checked it out, I want to. No. Battle Royale was a 25th anniversary event screening that actually you did have to pay for. Don't tell me how I got into it, but unfortunately, it was a one-time thing. The film will be coming into reprint as a 25th anniversary edition by Lionsgate. So if you really are interested in it, again, we're getting more Japanese content being licensed by American companies. And whether if that's a Trump tariff thing, but again, I got charged for this ticket, so there's still tariffs involved. But whether that be something that like happened because of the tariffs, or whether that be something that happened because American companies are looking at Japan and thinking, yo man, that's some good content. Shoot it over, we'll pay you the revenue. But regardless, as long as we take care of it and don't abuse it, keep them coming. Please. It's good shit. I'm excited. But not as excited as this next couple. Kiss of the Spider Woman. What is love? How can you define an emotion that is unique to every human being on this planet? As in, the heart that beats for her beats differently than the boy that is chasing her. And how do you justify emotions when there's no outlet to give? Kiss of a Spider Woman is based off a novel which has been made into a play and is now being portrayed in the big screen in the year 2025. Essentially, it is the Argentinian Revolution. If some of us history buffs might understand that just recently happened in the 2000s, or like before the 2000s, an era where Argentina was still trying to revolutionize and give the power back to its people. But in this conflict, we have our two main characters. A man played by Diego Luna, which is the guy from the Star Wars and Andor show, and another friend played by, I don't know. But regardless, the presentation given by these two artists is one of the most heart-wrenching, impactful relationships I have seen on the big screen. Contested perhaps only by Titanic itself. Because when you're stuck, when you're both enclosed in a prison without any expression save for the dreams you tell each other and or the movies that inspired us, there is so much passion and emotion in the stories we tell. Whether it be a first occurrence, a first person occurrence, or the legends that were told years ago of the heroes we once admired, of the minds that inspired. Being stuck in a cell is a punishment because you're forced in nights to be isolated. Isolation is one of our biggest weaknesses. Remember the period of necessities? Society is one of those. Interaction, human interaction, the ability to share thoughts, the ability to relate to something, a dog, a friend, and a girlfriend, the ability to express yourself and feel like you are being observed, like you are being acknowledged, like your words have meaning and value, is one of our defining motivators in humanity. So being isolated is a punishment for those who understand humanity. And there's nobody who knows true peace, true love, true patience, and humanitarianism than those who have been hurt the most. Those who are able to take the pain to the heart, to the chest, and still turn around and love thy neighbor. Those who see the disgusting pits of tar in our universe and are still willing to extend their hands into that pit to pull someone out. There is peace in love. There is understanding and there is hope. The Bible says, where two or more are gathered, there is hope. The Spirit is there. Because it is no longer one person's journey. It is the dream of a nation, the pact among men. And to see these two people, these two souls, go through pain with their only alleviant being an old Hollywood movie that our second friend is telling Diego Luna, we find that peace, we find that passion, we find that inspiration. And it's beautiful. You see Jennifer Lopez play the role of the Spider-Woman and the main heroine of Molina's story. And you see that story almost take over their real world. At least for Molina, whose peace comes from remembering the old movies they were able to watch when they were younger. Those memories of stories of emotions and how they save each other with those inspiration, those dreams. To a point where it is the story of their lives. It is not just an impactful moment of revolution, but it becomes their journey. Now, a lot of people are going to have opinions on this because certain moments, certain scenes, certain actors portray themselves a certain way. And while while I want to understand and why I want to say that you're allowed to have those thoughts, those opinions, those sentiments, I also think it's a huge, huge dismissal to just say because of this factor and because of this plot line and because of this story beat, I have no interest, or I do not want to care, or I don't even not want to hear what is being portrayed. And that's very sad. It really is. The fact that you would deny yourself of such beautiful works of art, of emotions, of realism, because you are unable to grasp a concept that does not belong to you. That ignorance is the bane of our existence. And I really believe that it does not have to be this way. You don't have to love it. You don't have to promote it. But by simply acknowledging and letting it go, you do so much for the universe in contrast of destroying. Again, I understand a lot of things in terms of why certain people don't want to allow certain scenarios and what that means to the greater scope of a government and its people and the laws that we abide by. But again, what is the difference between revolutionizing for the good of the people and spreading love that knows no boundaries? And with that, a beautiful, just the way they transition from dark, bleak cell to grandiose, beautiful movies in the 50s or 70s or 80s, 40s. Technicolor, and beautiful Technicolor is a quote that they say. But the fact that they're able to switch between those two environments and make it feel natural and still give you a sense of like comfort is one of its greatest assets. It is no simple feat to drop you inside a film and tell you to experience the moment, because you have to believe in that moment. And seeing them really portray this and have something to say, something to feel, is one of the most beautiful things I've seen all year. So I understand. It's gonna be a hard watch for certain folks who have certain issues with certain relationships. But for the love of God and for all that is holy, for 1 second, pull your ego out of your ass and watch with your heart. As a human being that needs love, that needs compassion, that needs community, and understand that that was almost taken away. So my question to you is, how would you feel if your love, your dreams, your hopes, your ambitions were to be stolen from you? It's time to love. It's time to see with open eyes and open hearts. So please, if you have a chance, we talked about how this movie is not doing good compared to Tron Legacy, and Tron Legacy is a fucking dumpster truck of bitchisness. Sorry, bullshit. This has heart. And if you can accept them for who they are, and I promise you, they have something to teach you, something to show you. And that's about it. With love, anything is possible, even a revolution. So please, love thy neighbor, love each other, and love yourself. Because I love you. Believe it or not. But hey, 3 films to go have feelings about. This is a tough one. Honestly, they're all up here. And it's incredible to think that in a week where the big dogs of Disney and whatever you want to throw out there couldn't do shit, that these smaller, impactful films did so much more than whatever that clusterfuck of a waste of money was. So let's do it. Battle Royale, it is really that crazy. And as a person who likes Fortnite, I'll admit it, it hit a spot. Battle Royale, Kiss of a Spider Woman, and your 2-hour film of a 100-meter dash. 100 meters. But regardless, you can't go wrong. Honestly, my wholehearted opinion is that any one of these films can do you well. And if you have a specific alignment, if you like specific things, then definitely go out for that. But really, man, really, this was one of the best weeks of movies in a long time. And I'm thankful for that. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you. Love each other. And I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, it's been your boy, EXP606, wishing you buenos dias, buenas noches, and better next time. But until then, hasta la próxima. Ya. Hasta ne.